They have to determine compliance with bid laws and various laws that the town is statutorily required to comply with. And so as part of that process, they make sure that contracts are in place, that bid documents exist, that things were put out to bid in a timely manner. And if they weren't, those things show up in the management letter. And those are items that the board then becomes aware of. There's no questions on that. I'd like to just proceed to the second item.
I just had a quick question. I'm sorry. When I first was elected on the board, it was in May. It was shortly after that we received an audit report. Is that from the same company that did that one? Okay.
Yes.
But it's a different audit than what we received then?
Yes, it'll be just for that one fiscal year.
Just for that one fiscal year.
Right.
In focused on some of it will be focused on the financials, right? On finance.
It'll be under the accounting standards that exist. The audit has to comply with uniform accounting standards in terms of reporting the town's assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
So that typically comprises the thicker version of the report, which is all of the financial numbers. The second piece is the management letter, which documents internal controls or deficiencies in internal controls within the management operation of the town. Both of those will be presented to the board.
Okay. In that report that we received at that time in June, in the summary letter, he did point out, he didn't call them operational deficiencies, but he did make some serious recommendations. And one of them was documenting our processes and our procedures in our finance department. Has that been addressed? Has that been worked on? Has Joe and his group been documenting, doing those types of things?
Absolutely.
So we'll address that in this report as well?
Absolutely.
All right, great.
And it shows those comments carry forward.
Great.
So what you'll see is a status report on what the comments would have been from the previous year, along with what the status of those would be.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Next is the board has received information from the town clerk on the conflict of interest law. It's an annual exercise that we now need to go through. It's coordinated through Mrs. Stats. She does a fine job as the town's conflict of interest coordinator or ethics coordinator. There is a certification, if you've seen it, that needs to be signed and returned to the clerk.
I've received Sean and myself.
Thank you, board members. And as part of that certification, you'll note that there are changes concerning acceptance of gifts. So the law is continually updated. As the law is updated, the town clerk has an obligation for that information, not only to the members of the board and town employees, but everyone who sits as an official of the town. So anyone, regardless of whether they're paid, unpaid, volunteer, whatever, they're considered to be either a regular employee of the town, which is your paid employees, or your special municipal employees. The Board of Selectmen is considered to be an employee within the context of the conflict of interest law. You have broader powers, but typically in terms of your smaller boards and committees, those committee members are considered to be special municipal employees, and they also have an obligation to go ahead and file these forms. The process is ongoing, and I thank Mrs. Stats for her efforts.
Absolutely.
Next is just an update on all of the 2011 licenses. They've all been picked up. There's one exception, which is the common victual license issued to Center Cafe, 118 Park Street. The establishment did pay for the license, however, they didn't fill out the renewal application. Had the renewal application been filled out, it would be before you this evening, but the renewal application was not filled out. And in the past, what we've typically done is those establishments who do not renew their licenses, and you'll remember, I think it was either a year or 2 years ago, we had a Class 1 licensee who did not renew. We asked them to come into the board and discuss with the board the reasons as to why they did not wish to renew their license. It's my understanding the establishment is open, running for business. So I would just suggest to the board that they be given an opportunity to discuss the renewal. We did gone through a pretty extensive process in terms of documenting the fact that we sent out 2 certified letters. We began the process back in October, and we sent out letters October 21st, November 30th, December 22nd, and each of those didn't yield a packet back. Part of the reason why we want to have them fill out the license application, again, under law, there's some hoops that need to be jumped through, and one is the fact that they need to establish tax compliance. And I'm sure they have, but we just need that documentation in it. So that's the only one that's not renewed.
Chair.
Well, that's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah. When a business doesn't renew their license and they continue to do business, how vulnerable is the town if something were to happen? And I can't imagine what it would be, but if something were to happen, it would come back as a lawsuit against the town for them doing business, and an accident occurs on their property.
There's no firm standard, Jeff. I mean, the town certainly is diligent in terms of trying to contact the proprietors to ask them to renew the license. I think the only risk that you have is liquor licenses. And liquor licenses have a hard deadline, and it's interesting. Every year we go through the dance with liquor licenses where we get close to New Year's and people haven't come in to pick up their licenses. And it's interesting. I do contact the police department, and I have them literally go out and knock on doors and remind licensees that if they don't have a liquor license, they get shut down at 12 o'clock on New Year's Eve. And they trickle in. So those are the only ones that there's really a liability or risk in terms of operating without a license. The others are more or less informal. There's no penalty that's prescribed, but you do have the authority to decide not to issue the license. And if you decide not to issue the license, then that's your prerogative. Keep in mind when I say common victual license, this is only a license to prepare and serve food. Sometimes you get common victualler within the sense of a liquor license. This is just a restaurant license, for lack of a better word. And they also need to have a license renewed through the Board of Health, which has not been done. And not necessarily sure of the reasons as to why, but it's something that you should be aware of in terms of what's going on.
I've had a couple of discussions with one of the owners. I believe they have every intent to renew. I think it's simply an oversight. So I expect that they'll comply in a short time period.
I mean, I do have a concern with any establishment when they have whether it's a villa license or a malt and beverage license or what have you. I have a concern that if something would happen, that if we're negligent in enforcing our law, the town could be subject to a lawsuit, and that's a concern that I have. So my question would be, how soon can we push this thing to get them? I can't see how it can be an oversight if they do this every year anyway. It's a pretty standard thing that every business does. So if we can, I want them to do it. I don't want them not to do it. I'm not trying to be hard about it, but I want to protect the town. I think that's very important. So if we can push them and get it done by week's end, it shouldn't be a problem.
I'll take care of it. I'll reach out to them first thing tomorrow morning. So, that solve it for tonight?
Yeah,
Notify them what they need to do.
yeah, they just need to be in compliance.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
it's,
I agree.
Yeah, and they're not. So, yeah, again, if they're, yeah, if we can't get it done on a timely basis, I mean, what's our next meeting is?
Well, as Greg said, they've paid
This
the
is
fee.
24th.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, I know, but we still need to sign up for the Board of Health, and they also have to make confirmation as far as other affidavits as to what they've complied with or not, so.
Right.
And we can't let one slide and
Right.
not the other, so if they're not in compliance, then,
But it's clear that you guys have gone above and beyond. I mean, and I want to thank all the other business communities, the business people that came in for their license and filed the right applications. But to go through that much work, you know, I would hope they would appreciate and respect the process a little more than that. I'm a little disappointed that it would take you that much work and your staff to go through that much work to get us to this point. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's interesting because, again, you have liquor licenses that are outstanding right till the end, and that is the basis of their business.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And
We do go through the exercise every year and say to establishments, if you don't come in, you don't have a license, you can't open.
yeah. Well, I have to tell you, I think we should rethink the process a little bit. Because if we have to go through that much work for one or two people, then they should pay for that extra process, that extra processing. We have an extra processing fee. Because I'm really disappointed to see that we had to go through that much work to get to this point. I'll just leave it at that.
We're not even there yet.
Is-
But,
I know.
and I don't even know if, because I don't think I've ever been in a position where, all the, as I've said, I've talked about revoking a license, but really, we meet on the 24th on a regular meeting rather than our work session. You know, but if this isn't complied with by, in the next week, or, the 14th or something like that, we should, put it on the agenda.
Might be a red flag for all we know.
But anyway.
I'm sure we'll be
And I
taken
want to see
care
them
of.
to continue to do business.
Me too.
You know,
That's right.
But I say for all the business owners,
that they need to comply.
respect the process. People in town hall, they're trying to do the best they can, but they make a lot more difficult on them if they just don't follow the process. So, I'm good.
Mr. Belkonis.
Just number 4 on my list is the annual Mass Municipal Association meeting is coming up in about 3 weeks. And I would encourage board members to attend the meeting. If you've been there before, I think it's a great opportunity to learn about developments affecting cities and towns. They concentrate. If you look at the agenda, which is in the MMA Beacon, they primarily look at legal issues, labor law, finance issues. Obviously, those are the 3 things that are most critical in terms of facing cities and towns. But there's a number of other subjects that the Mass Municipal Association goes through, and I think it's a good opportunity. If you can make a day, you can give up a day. It's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about some innovative things that are being done across the Commonwealth. Thank you.
It's good. On the 22nd, I think that is a seminar on collective bargaining.
There is indeed.
Yeah, so, yeah, I did go online today and registered for all that, so.
Did you handle the registration for board members?
If board members do wish to go, just a matter of letting me know. I believe we've had some members that have already indicated that they wish to attend. Otherwise, just let me know by email.
Yeah, I did go online and registered today.
And if you've signed up, just return your
I
voucher
just,
to me.
yeah, they're gonna submit the invoice to my house, and then
that's
I'll
fine.
take it in.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I will be attending.
As
Anything
would
else?
I think I indicated
Great.
that to you.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Old and new business. Jeff, you want to start this time?
Sure. Sorry. We had, what, 17 inches of snow last
Yeah.
week ago?
That's what I heard.
We had a lot of snow.
I think I had double that at my house.
It seemed more than that, didn't it?
No, that's what fell off the roof after a while. I do want to say to the DPW that they did a very good job in clearing the roadways. And as the process progressed, the sidewalks, the process was methodical. We would like always things to be faster, but that's not always possible. But I also want to thank the businesses who, some of them addressed it the next day, some of them addressed it later in the day. They started to clear the sidewalks. And I know Coda Funeral Home, for example, when we had that 3-inch or 4-inch storm, snowfall in that storm a few weeks before, they were out there, they cleared it right away. So there were a lot of businesses that started to come forward and clear the sidewalks. One of the big problems, though, is that on when the snow plows, they have a tendency to block the entryway to some of the sidewalks when they clear the parking lots and so on. So that's kind of self-defeating, but it's a process. I think that if we can get that addressed, that'll make things even better. But also, I couldn't help but notice, I mean, I drive around town because I have to drive my children around town from one event to another event. And the residents really came forward on the clearing of snow. I saw Kings Row, a bunch of houses, sidewalks cleared there. North Street was cleared pretty early. Park Street was cleared. So I think that the awareness has helped the community step forward and start to clear the sidewalks. But what was really good was that I saw an elderly woman walking her dog on Park Street, and she had a sidewalk to walk on, and she didn't have to walk into the street.